Hello there, my name is Yemisi, and you are listening to Tech Empowered, a podcast brought to you by Tech for Dev. Tech Empowered is about the story of how technology is changing the lives of young people in Africa and across the world. Real stories from real people who have all been tech empowered. The purpose of this podcast is to inspire you, to let you know that you can chart a new course for your life. There's an African proverb that says, anytime you wake up is your morning. This roughly translates to when you come to the realization of the fact that you need to make a change, you can. Without further ado, let's get into the conversation for today. Hi, Gabriella. How are you doing?
Hello. Hi. How are you doing too? I'm fine.
I'm fine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Excited to be here too. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's start. Let's get into the conversation. Can you introduce yourself? Just give us a brief background about yourself. Where did you grow up?
All right, great. My name is Gabriella Echibui. I'm a product design manager at H1 Technologies. I grew up in a very, very funny environment. You know, that kind of environment where, you know, you are just, you see a lot of people that are not very educated, see a lot of people that are not exposed or have this big dreams going up there. I grew up in Oroshoki, Lagos, and that area, if you would know that area is kind of rough. You know, they always have like a lot of issues going on there, fights and all of that. So, you know, growing up in that area, it's like you are struggling to not allow the environment influence you. So that's how I grew up, trying not to let the environment influence me, trying to be my own person, trying to get out of that environment, because that was the plan. Everybody's trying to get out of that environment because you don't want to be influenced by the environment. You don't want to literally just sit down doing nothing. You want to go out there. You want to be a better person. And that's where I grew up. That's basically where I grew up. And with time, you know, we moved out from there. But even after moving out from there, it's more like, oh, you're moving out, but you're really not moving out because they're like the same environment. We later moved out to Obudu, and Obudu is also far from there. It's just the whole same idea, but just a better upgrade. Basically, that was the background for me. That was the environment I grew up in, and it was really a very big deal trying to get out of it. It was really a big deal trying not to get used to speaking just vernacular, learning how to speak English and all of that. And because even aside the environment, you know, not just living in the environment, actually schooling in the environment as well was not even as easy as it would have just been if you had gone to a very good setting, a very good unique and maybe big and very polished schools, right? I went to a government school, and it was a tough one, having over 100 people in your class and everyone struggling to hear, and you're just sitting at the back trying to understand what they are saying, and all of those situations around. That was the situation I grew up in.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Gabriella. Okay, so what was your educational background? Like, what did you study in the university?
Oh, okay, I studied mining engineering, and
okay. And how did you switch to product design?
Oh, okay. It was a miracle. It was not an easy one. It was a tug of war, a very serious tug of war. So, you know, I'm a Nigerian now, and African parents generally, there's this perception, especially my dad is very traditional. So he has this idea that, you know, you have to have this professional outlook, either you're a doctor or a banker or an engineer and all of that. So there were titles that really did look. In fact, everyone in my family studied something similar. We had the doctor family, we had the banker, we had literally all of that professional. So when I told my dad actually he wanted me to do something more feminine. According to him, he felt like engineering was not for women, so he was very skeptical about me doing engineering. And I told him, no, I'm going to do engineering. In fact, I really fought. My dad wanted me to do this life. Try and listen to your parents. There's a reason. My dad told me that computer science, but I was so adamant. I said I must study engineering. Funny enough was that I actually gained admission to computer science, and I said no, I must do engineering. And I waited, and I got admission into mining engineering. I was so happy, and I started studying mining engineering because I really did like it, right? So when I realized that there might be an issue, and my dad most likely was right all along, was when in my 400 level I was supposed to go for my industrial training, and I'm looking for an IT placement, and I can't find anywhere. And people are like, "Oh, we don't want to take a girl. We don't want to take a lady. She won't be able to do hard work. She won't be able to do this. She won't be able to do that." I'm like, me that opened my eyes to go and study the course. I know what I'm going for. What's the problem? And they'll be like, "Oh no, you're not handling the stress is a lot. So you do admin." I'm like, admin, come on. I beg. So it was like a whole roller coaster of emotion for me, finding out that people really do not want me in that field. People don't want to employ me in that field. And I got so tired and frustrated. But you know what? I still had this very tiny faith I was holding on to. I was like, no, maybe it's just IT, right? Maybe in 500, after my school, I'll get more opportunity, right? So eventually, my industrial training, I did practice as a mining engineer. Someone gave me a chance and I took it, right? It meant leaving home completely. It meant going somewhere I've never been to, going to the bush. But I went. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow this dream to the last. And I did go to the site. I was living in a very foreign place that I've never been to. I was going to the bush every single day. It was crazy. But I went regardless, right? Because I knew what I wanted. Then I was done with school the next year. And I was like, okay, it's time now. It's time for the market. When I started making research and I started trying to apply, I found out that people that even had lower grades, they were employing them. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Why am I in house? I'm applying for the same role and they're rejecting me, and I have a 2-1, and someone with third class is getting this job. What's going on? And I started making research and I started talking to people, and they were like, oh no, they can't employ you now, you're a girl. And I felt so bad about it. I tried product design and it looked like something that was very exciting to do. And I tried to start doing it. But because there was no guidance, there was no structure, I was just all over the place. I was just making it as I think it should be, right? Up until 2023, yeah. Then a friend reached out to me, 2022 first. A friend reached out to me and was like, oh, I saw something, I saw Women Textile Fellowship. I think we should apply. It's a 1-year program. And I'm telling her that I'm not applying for anything. I should put my 1 year to learn something. I already learned now. She was like, no, that we should apply. I told her, no, I was not going to. She was like, okay, that's fine. She would apply without me. So she applied and she got in. And 1 year she changed. It was like a dream. This girl changed completely. It was so good. I saw her design and I'm like, excuse me, are you sure? She was like, yes, this is work. And I was like, hey, God, what happened to me? What was I thinking? Why did you force me? She was like, I'm supposed to put something in your head and force you. I told you, he said no. And I felt so bad about it. But I told myself, you know what? I'm going to still try the next year. So the next year came, right? And before the next year came, I was really battling imposter syndrome. If anyone is familiar with me, you know that I'm a serious advocate for imposter syndrome because I did battle that thing to the end, right? I had serious imposter syndrome. Once I see someone's work out there, or once I see anything, I'll just start saying, oh no, I'm not good enough. This is not fine. This is not good. I kept deleting all my work. I'm not even posting or putting myself out there at all. So when I got in tech for dev, in the orientation, that was one of the first things they tackled. The first talk about syndrome, I was like, yeah, that's me. Then I didn't even know that there was a name for it. I just felt like, it was just how I felt, and I felt it was just me. So when I kept attending sessions, not just only classes, I attended soft skills, I started understanding what was actually wrong with me and why I was not moving forward. So it was more like, I'm getting a technical skill and I'm still getting a soft skill and I'm still getting a life advice at the same time. So it was more like a full pack program. It wasn't easy, right? I'm not even just going to lie, because I had 3 jobs then. I was social media manager for 3 brands. So combining it with classes, combining with assignments and all of those things, it would be difficult. But then I challenged myself and I told myself, you know what? If you want to actually make this thing work, you have to do what is different. You have to dare to be different. And that's what I kept telling myself. And I'm like, I'm going to do my best to be different. I'm going to do my best to be seen and heard. And then I took that booster and I told myself that, you see, this imposter syndrome, we are fighting to the last. And I told myself I was going to post consistently for 8 months, every day, Mondays to Saturdays, till 8 months. And I started up, I think, this 2nd of October. I finished that. I posted every single day. And trust me, putting myself out there was like the game changer for me. It was like the next level for me. My first international gig came from posting on LinkedIn actively. And I remember the man just told me that I'm picking you, not because it came very early when I started tech for dev, right? I've not even brushed up my skills very well. And it was like, I'm picking you not because you're the best designer here. I'm picking you because I trust you. I can trust you because I'm seeing you every day here. So I know that you're someone that will show up regardless, right? And I was so happy about that experience alone. And I know that continued to push me, right? Continued to push me. And funny enough that for every job that I have gotten, for every gig I have gotten, it has always been from referrals. Somebody knows somebody that knows me. Somebody referred me to you. Someone said, I know you from LinkedIn. Someone said, those are the situations I've always been getting around. So for me, it's more like, put yourself out there and still do your best to learn as much as you should learn. So for me, tech was a very serious roller coaster, even when my dad was not behind the idea, because I wouldn't say it's his fault, because he doesn't understand what it is. I'm explaining tech. I use my laptop and I say, hey, Jesus, this girl wants to give me laptop. Are you trying to my house?
Oh my God, friends.
And this one is not understanding me. But at the end, right, seeing things happen. In fact, for me, I just feel like Tech for Dev was just the game changer for me in every way. Because, when my dad started seeing things and I started telling him that, oh, this is what Tech Dev said, this is what happened. And then he watched me, he saw my picture, he sees my videos, and he's like, oh, he's so happy. So in all of this, right, everything that just made me who I was is being in the right place, right? Being with the right set of people, the people that understand what it means to move out from your comfort zone, people that understand what it means like for you to struggle. So it's just like a life-changing opportunity for me, and it's something that I will always talk about, and it's something that I will not trade for anything. So it's more like you spent 10 years of your life. I remember when I posted it on LinkedIn that I spent 10 years in school, and people were like, that's not even possible. I said yes, study something, and at the end I've transitioned into something else. It was a very tough decision, but at the end it's actually worth it.
Thank you so much, Gabriella, for sharing that. I mean, you said so many important things. The power of showing up consistently cannot be overemphasized, right? If you don't put out your skills and show what you can do, how would people know what you can do? How people know that, I can do this thing, right? And that's really profound. Thank you so much for sharing. So how did you secure your role as product design manager where you're working at present?
Oh, that's a very, very interesting story. I would like to share. right? Because it seemed like a miracle, right? It did seem like a miracle. So I'm just going to share that quickly. So somewhere midway to the course into tech for them, I got a job, and it was a product design role, and I was working. It was a very fantastic experience. I was working. I didn't see it coming. I was like, so this is how fast it happened. In less than 6 months, I already got a job. I'm like, oh my, this is something I've not been able to achieve on my own. I was very excited. And then a few months down the line, my mentor, because I got a mentor, and there's this consistent reminder that we always had, that you always need somebody. You need someone to reach out to, someone that has walked through that part with you. So looking at people that I felt like I could ask for mentorship, there was just one person that was very certain, that aligned with what I wanted for myself in future. So I reached out to him. We've always been taught how to approach people, how to network and all of that in classes. And I reached out to him and I said, I would want you to be a mentor. And he said he doesn't mentor people. He doesn't have the time to mentor people. And I tried to sell myself. I told him I was not going to waste his time. I said a lot of things to him to convince him. And it took a while. He didn't respond to me, and it took a while, and responded to me later. And we had a conversation. And when we were talking again, he told me that the reason why he responded to me is because he looked through my profile and he saw that I was not going to waste his time. Right, so that's another reason why you should put yourself out there. People would know that you are serious and you will not waste their time. So my mentor referred me for that role, as it was a contract job. It was supposed to be for like 2 months. They wanted to quickly put something together, and they had a design team. They just needed someone to put the whole team together and bring forth a solution. And my mentor referred me to that job, and I saw the job title, and I told him that I can't do this work now. I was like, I can't do this now. This is a senior role, right? And when I start, I'm not even up to 2 years. What is happening? It was like, you can do it. I was so scared. I can't even lie. I was very, very scared. I even had to speak to my facilitator. As at the time, I spoke to my facilitator. I'm like, look what is going on. This is what the offer I got. I'm very scared about it. And she told me, like, don't worry, you can do it. Don't feel scared, feel small. You can do it. Just go for the interview and all of that. She joined me. In fact, I don't even know what to say. Tech for them is actually an amazing thing to do, because I remember my facilitator, every time I need to go for an interview, she's literally holding my hand through it all. We are practicing interview questions. We are practicing for everything. She's telling me what to do. She's giving me tips. We are practicing together, literally. She's checking my work. She's checking my portfolio. She's doing all of those things for me. So it was a very scary situation to be in. It's meant for people that have like 6 years experience and above, and I'm just 2 years, right? And even the 2 years, not like full 2 years, right? It's more like start and stop. I was scared. I really wanted to show that yes, I knew what I was doing. So when the interview came, funny enough, I was also interviewed with, there was another person that they interviewed. He had 6 years experience. He's a very senior person. In fact, it was somebody I even knew that I looked at, like I admired, someone I really looked to online. So when I heard he was interviewed, I panicked even more. I'm like, there's no how I'm going to get this job if they interviewed this person already. But I was like, okay, let me just go. So I went for my interview, and the interview went good. I think I did my best. I spoke to the best of my capacity. I tried to explain myself. Funny enough, every single thing that I have learned in soft skills, that's where the soft skill part comes in. And then that was when I realized that they say that the technical skill will give you the job, but the soft skill will actually keep you in the job, right? They were also trying to find out my soft skill. They were asking me more crucial questions like, how do you resolve conflict in a team, leading a team, how are you going to resolve conflict? And everything I have learned was coming to me and I was speaking to them, right? And after the interview, they said they were going to get back to me. And after a couple of days, I got a mail that I've got to the job as the design manager. I was so happy. I was surprised. I didn't even know how to behave. I just kept screaming. And that's like the highest pay I've ever gotten in my life. To be very honest, that was the highest pay I've ever gotten in my life from working. Right, I was very happy. I was jumping around the place, very happy. I had other things I was doing. I was still in class then. We were not done, and I was giving it. I was giving it my best. It was not an easy one, right? It was very demanding. There were days I had to stay up all night and all of that, but I was giving it my best because I knew that this opportunity is like a golden opportunity. I didn't even know that they were going to think of retaining me or whatever. I just felt like this was a contract, but I need to do my best regardless. So I just consistently focused on giving my best. And at the end, after the 2 months, I just said, Star, my contract is over. That will be all of my service. It was like, I don't understand. Where are you going to? You're not going anywhere now. You're part of this product already. Your team. I get, yes, for a full-time job. I was like, are you serious? I was so happy. And it was like, okay, how much? What's your price? Just tell me, I'm going to do it. And I was so happy. And I called a price randomly. That's funniest part. I called the price randomly and he said done. And he did negotiate nothing. And it felt like a dream. But I'm just happy that, there was somebody, there were a group of people that stood back to instill in me all of these things. If this has happened sometime in 2023, early 2023 or 2022, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I'm sure I wouldn't have even gotten it because I was scared. I always fidget. I always panic. But right now, I'm able to speak about what I know. I'm able to speak, I'm able to talk about what I know, and I'm able to listen. I've developed better communication skill. I've learned so many things that not just even in design, it has helped my life. It has made me a better person, right? Talking to even my friends, my family, this had helped my relationship too. So Tech for Dev for me is not just, I'm just going to go and train and go and learn design or go and learn tech. It was like a full structure that was just created to help you become a better human being. That's just the way I see it. And it has worked for me. It has worked for my friend. And I know there are other people that have similar stories, right, to what I have, even better stories, right? But this is how I experienced it. And it's part of my journey. And I always want to talk about it because I know it can inspire one or two persons to understand that, yes, this is something that they need to push regardless. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Gabriella. So much packed into that. So we do really need to round up, and I'll just ask you one last question, and in 30 seconds, just share one advice that you would have for women like yourself who are looking at pursuing their dreams, who are probably where you were a couple of years ago.
I want ladies that have been in my situation to understand that it is not impossible, right? These are stories or whatever it might come across them to be. These are not just stories to excite you or to make you say, oh, wow, or whatever. These are stories that really did happen, right? It might look like fiction, but they are not. And this can be you. And what you have to do is just very easy. Taking the step. That's like the first thing. So take your mind off the perfection. Take your mind off every other thing. Take your mind off what is going to happen later and just focus. And one thing that is very important that have worked for me, right? Because I'm always just going to tell you what had worked for me, is that put yourself out there. See, let me tell you something, right? It's not just only about putting yourself out there, because I've figured out that in this life, what worked for Taye might not work for Kendi. What worked for A might not work for B. But let me tell you something I do. I try everything. Because I'm not sure which one will work, I will try every possible means and know that I actually did exhaust everything, right? It might not be even posting that will work for you. It might be networking. But try everything. Don't just leave any end loose. Don't just feel like, oh, you know what? Let me try this one. Oh, because this one did not work for me and it works for another person. Let me remove my hand. Because you have been applying, and you've not been getting it, does not mean that tech is not for you. Does not mean that you will never get a job. No, that's not the mindset I want you to have. I want you to have the mindset that some people did not actually get work from application. Talk to people. Let everybody in your community know that you are a designer. Let everybody know. If I have a friend that her first job was being a designer for her church, she designed her church's website. Put yourself out there. Let everybody know that this is what you do, right? Post it on your status. Disturb people. The truth is that, if I'm being very honest, right, a lot of people are doing tech, right? But what will make you different is being different, right? So you have to do the ordinary things in an extraordinary way. So this is just summarized to putting yourself out there, networking, applying, doing the right thing, your portfolio, putting everything together, and always be ready, because you don't know when opportunity will come. If opportunity comes and you don't have anything to show for it, nobody's going to listen to you. But make sure you're always ready for opportunity. So when opportunity comes, you can grab it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Even me, I am pumped and inspired and ready to just, get out there and just put things together. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for joining us on Tech Empowered Podcast. So this is where we'll draw the curtain for today. Thank you to Gabriella for sharing her story and her journey with us, and thank you for listening.